All right, welcome everybody to Coach on the Couch as we continue our preview series here as we get you ready for girls basketball in the 2019-2020 season. And usually it's Coach on the Couch, but we're coaching a guy on a couple chairs here as we sit down with Trevor Wuethrich, Greenwood girls head basketball coach. Coach, thanks for having me here.
Well, thanks for coming, Jason.
Yeah, you're welcome. So before we get started, just give us a little bit of your history in basketball, how long you've been coaching, and then what led you to what now is your first season as the Greenwood girls basketball coach.
Well, I played high school basketball in Greenwood back in the 90s, early 90s, and when my nephews started playing in the early 2000s, I started coaching at the young level, and I just followed them through the system and the youth system, and then my daughters came through the youth system. So I've been doing youth basketball 5th through 8th grade for 10 years, and then was asked to do JV 2 years ago and asked to do varsity this year. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome. Welcome to head coaching here in high school basketball in Central Wisconsin. Coach, you compete in what I think is one of the most difficult conferences in Central Wisconsin, the Clover Belt East. A lot of things happening recently. Colby, one of your conference competitors at the state tournament last year. Neilsville, a perennial competitor and state contender. Loyal basketball, state champion just a few years ago. Columbus Catholic, very good. I mean, the list goes on and on, up and down that list. As you kind of came into this, how much did you think about that part of it versus just getting these girls ready to play here in year one of your career?
Well, I think, anytime I look at something, I look at not trying to reinvent myself. And you're correct, we play in a great area. Not only the Eastern Clover Belt, the Western Clover Belt, the Marwood, North and South, they're all great conferences, and it's just trying to do what they do well. So a lot of times when I look at it is, I look at the great teams and what makes them great and try to mimic that.
When we talk about last year, Coach, you weren't in coaching last year, but obviously you watched a number of those games last year. 6-15, Greenwood's record last year. First round of the playoffs, lost that first round game. How do you, when you watch that team last year, and obviously teams change from year to year and seniors have left, but what were your general opinions of Greenwood girls basketball?
I think, back in the 90s, there was a real focus on defense, team defense. You see it in a lot of teams, and we really didn't have that the last couple of years, the tenacity of the pressure defense. So hopefully this year we can bring some of that back to Greenwood basketball and keep those scores down in the 30s and 40s instead of the 60s and 70s. Right.
All right. Visiting here with Trevor Wuethrich, head girls basketball coach at Greenwood High School. Many games this year, actually, Coach, 100 games scheduled on ZaleskiSports.com, all girls, boys basketball, hockey, wrestling, etc. A number of those will be your games. Mission number one, though, out there, folks, get down to the gym and support the girls, whoever your team is. Use ZaleskiSports.com as that backup plan if you can't make the game. Coach, we'll kind of mix last year and then we'll transition quickly into this year. Last year's team finished 1-9. Oftentimes in sports, when you see a mark like that at the end of the year, sometimes it means that team is kind of tuned out or lost their way or lost their enthusiasm towards the end of the year. A couple weeks into practice now, talk about the enthusiasm these girls have and their energy level right now.
It's very high right now. We played Auburndale last night and lost, but previous to the Auburndale game, I think the expectations were that we were, coming into this season pretty good. So we got some things to work on, but I think we can only go up from here.
A couple of your standout athletes, so we'll see how the season progresses and where everybody comes in. We'll give you an opportunity here in a little bit also to tell us about some of the other girls on your team. But Maddie Race, Amanda Bogdanovich, two seniors on the team. Talk about senior leadership and especially those two girls, what they do to kind of make your team really come together.
Right. So Amanda led our team in scoring last year with 208 points. Maddie really came on strong last season, the last 5-6 games of the year, and is really strong this year. But what's going to happen is teams are going to start keying on those two, and we need the other 3-4 girls on the team to step up and pick up some of those some of those possessions.
Talk to us about some of those other girls when folks are at the game or at the gym watching, whether it's at home or on the road or they're watching online. Who are some of those other girls that people maybe should get accustomed to? They're going to play a big part this year.
So we have our guards are Celine Wuethrich, Kaya Abel, Olivia Klobin, and then we've got Mesa Rasmussen playing some forward and guard position. She's pretty versatile. Only a sophomore. I really expect some really good things out of Mesa this year and the next 3 years. And then we also have Cassie Heber. She's a 5'3" post player, but she'll get me 6 or 7 rebounds, and she knows her role on the team, and she knows when she's in there, she just gets rebounds.
Coach, you mentioned that Auburndale game. What I noticed most, Maddie able to really drive the lane. That may, in the course of the season, provide some more kick-out opportunities. Talk about your offense. You talked about the defense. What would you say your style or what you're going to lean on the most offensively in more of a package or more of a style kind of a way?
Kind of a slower offense, typical of that of a Tim Anderson or a Tom Bucher offense.
There you go. Yeah.
So I think I'll probably get more two-post play, similar to again those previous coaches I mentioned, and kind of slow it down and pound it into the post.
Yeah.
So
mentioned last year's team record. That was in the bottom third of the conference last year. No doubt you've talked about some goals with these girls and what you look for in the season. What are some of those goals? Maybe what's the ceiling for this team here in 2019, 2020?
In all honesty, I think if we could finish in the Clover Belt at 500, we would exceed our expectations. And when you set goals, set them higher than you expect. And I really think a 500 season would be great for this team.
Yeah, good. Well, Coach, we've already seen your team once. We're looking forward to seeing it a bunch more. Best of luck this year.
You bet, and thanks for coming to the gym. It's good to see you there.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm a gym rat. It turns out these days. Not as much layups and free throws as I once did, but I definitely like hanging out in the gym. A lot of people ask me what my favorite sport is during the year, and that's a tough one to put together. But certainly a big fan of basketball, and we look forward to watching you play this year.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, guys, that'll wrap it up from here. Again, Greenwood girls basketball as we continue our Clover Belt East and our Central Wisconsin season preview series. More coming up, and watch for those at ZaleskiSports.com.